guys, how's it going? It's X666X Iron Maiden, and today we're back to VOLA, and this time we're going back to their debut album, Inmazes, with the track named Inmazes, title track. One of the commenters said this is the track that got them hooked into them, and I wanted to check out something from their catalog that was, you know, some of their oldest stuff to date. And going back to the first album was a good start, so that's what we're doing. If you can hear a fan in the background, there is one running underneath this desk to keep me cooled off. I'm in a small room, computer, you know, I got a light on, a hot light in front of me. I've got the computer, 2 monitors, like all the stuff's heating up this room. I apologize. When the music's playing, you shouldn't hear it. You'll hear it a little bit when I'm, you know, talking like this. But if I wasn't running it, I wouldn't be able to be in here recording. It is hot. So, moving on, let's check out the track. We're going to get into it because it's 7.5 minutes long. It's not too often I get to do very long, well, longer songs, so it's always nice to check them out because I do enjoy them quite a lot. I'm not saying bombard me with long songs either because then it takes forever to record, but every here and there I like getting these longer songs because it really gives me... I find bands that make longer songs like this, especially in the prog side of things, you can really get like a big idea of like what they enjoy to do with their sound. But mind you, this was their first album too, so it gives me, maybe I'll hear like elements of what they turned into with the latest album that we've listened to a couple of tracks from. Let's do it. That's interesting already. That's oddly groovy, though. So all I can picture, I'm going to pause it before it kicks in. I'll even back it up just to make sure I didn't miss the start of anything. The weird thing is that you play this to a prog fan and they might have the same reaction I did. Like, oh, it's like weirdly groovy. Just following the time signature and all that, it's weirdly groovy. You play this to someone who hates prog or is super unfamiliar with prog and you'd be like, what the hell's going on? At least that's probably the reaction I would get from a few friends I can think of that do listen to like metal and stuff like that. But they'd be like, this is weird. Just, but me, it's cool. It has like the weird time signature, and all that is just cool. I like it. We're gonna turn that up. Wow.
I took off the fight into valleys gloomy. I have caught them all. Every glimpse of failure.
It's so interesting.
Why do you still call? You question my behavior.
Not weirdly groovy anymore, that's for sure. So I keep checking the time, by the way. On tracks like this, I like to check the time because it's usually tracks I'm probably going to come back to on my own, and I'm kind of curious, like, what time frame they do the changes in. I don't know if that's, like, a prog guy thing to do, but I really like to know, like, where changes come up and where they decide to do stuff sometimes when I'm listening to them. This has already gone through, what, 3 changes? 4? 3 or 4? I'm already losing track because I'm trying to do, like, many things at once here. It really shows, you can really see one of the main, well, I should say one of the main things that stands out for me hearing this, comparing to their newest stuff, which is the only other stuff I've heard, is you can really hear where they like to do like sudden change-ups. They still do that there. And you can hear the heaviness, like the change-ups between the very like light going into super heavy. So far in the song, we're almost getting close to, we're like a third of the way through. I'm curious to see transitions, to see if they're going to just go into more of like a fluid, like, feel to the song, as in, so far there's been a few parts where it's like, there's a lot of quiet involved as well. It's just a few components going at once, and there's a lot of quiet in between. And with their newest stuff, everything's filled in. It's more like a wall of sound. So I'm curious if on this album, and maybe we'll hear it in this song, maybe this isn't a good example of a song for it, to really check that out, is to see if they kind of did that back then too, because I think this was like 2011, so we're talking like 10 years ago, if that was correct. I can check here right quick. 2015 is when this was uploaded, but I could have swore I saw 2011 or something, but I bet you I'm wrong. But anyway, it probably wasn't. It was probably 7 years ago, 6 years ago. But yeah, that's kind of what I'm looking for at this point. But already cool, already has the heavy parts that like I enjoyed so much. For those of you that actually checked out my Head Mounted Sideways, that was like still, even right now, it's still my song of the year that I've heard. Even though I've already kind of like stopped listening to it at the moment because there's a few other things going on, I know I'm going to come back to it again. And again, just still kind of blown away by it, truthfully. I've listened to it a bunch since then. There's that heaviness again. Man, that's interesting. Oh shit. Okay, it finally changed up. So that's so interesting that it's got like happy overtones on the top, but then they have like the super like the heavy like riff in the background, and it's like two different things like interlocking, and just like they shouldn't fit, but they do. They shouldn't fit, but they do, is what, like, that's the impression that I would normally get from that. But again, being a prog guy, it fits perfectly for me. Like, but I'm sure like the normal person would be like, what is this like happy like da, 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 in the background, but at the same time like da, 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 da. Like it's things that shouldn't fit but work. And that's what I love about prog. People to figure these things out and put them together is always fun to hear. Wow, let's keep going. That's all I had to say. That whole section just like kind of like blew me away. I was like, oh, and like his tones, like his singing tones, were even like in the almost in the middle, more on the happier side, but almost even in the middle of the two. And then it goes into like uplifting again. I want to hear that transition again. It goes from like the mixture of both and then just into like uplifting just by that change in the main heavy riff. Nice. It's a beautiful choice to just have the either piano or keyboard. I'm no specialist on keys, so either or, whichever one they chose to do. It sounds like a piano, but I know you can get those effects off of keyboards nowadays, so it's hard to tell. So we'll just say piano in this section. Just very simple, like added just a couple of keys just over and over. Actually fits this so well. Like, I'm glad that they didn't just do like a whole like solo over it or something like that, or a complex passage, because it fits that uplifting feel as well. I find like the song structure on this is actually really well done, in my opinion. For some people, again, people that don't listen to a lot of prog or hate prog, or think it's weird, but like I find like it's such a really well written song in general. Sounds like they're going to finish it off with this, too. Like the last 2 minutes is all like basically the same. That's interesting. I like that. Something you don't see that often. Really don't see it happen that often anymore, that's for sure. Alright, we're going to cut it there. So, I can see how this would have hooked someone back when it came out. For sure. They definitely made their sound a little bit more wall of sound-ish, a little bit more like changed up, obviously, since then. From the couple of tracks we've heard from the newest album, it's definitely that they've changed things up. You know, it's not. It's definitely not this anymore. I do like the way they chose to progress. I don't find that I think I like the newest style a little bit better, but this is quite good as well. it definitely shows they're progressing in a very good direction, in my opinion. Some might disagree because they might have enjoyed, like, I feel like if you're really a huge fan of prog, maybe this would get you a little bit more, because I find this is a little bit more on the proggier side, like song structure wise. And the newest stuff is like prog mixed with like I guess melodic, like, I don't want to say metalcore. I was almost gonna say metalcore, but like it's like melodic, like prog mixed with almost like a death metal feel, just by the heaviness, but like melodic death metal kind of. And here it was more like straightforward prog. On this track, anyway. Obviously, there's more tracks that I haven't heard, so that could change my opinion as well. But yeah, I'm glad I did this. I'm glad I went back to the debut album, because that really gives me a clear picture of their beginnings and where they are now. And we'll be checking out a lot more from these guys, because I'm surprised no one has ever told me to check out these guys before. I think maybe they were probably requested before, like someone probably requested them. It's in my old request list that had like over 2,000 songs. I'm sure somewhere in there someone probably requested them. But I'm surprised no one from in my life, like offline, like my actual friends that listen to prog, I'm surprised no one's ever told me to check them out. I'm really surprised. Mind you, if the group did put out this album at this time, the time that it says here, which this came out 2015, so maybe 2014, if that's when this album came out, then yeah, that might be why too, because that was around the time where, like, I think the same time I was moving in with my now fiance, and a little bit, I didn't, you don't see friends as much sometimes when you're, everyone finally moves on from that stage where you're all like living together in the same city. People are going to school, like university and college and all that, and you're all like still having parties. And then you kind of grow a little bit older, and you go your separate ways to a certain degree when you get your girlfriends and all that involved. And so that could be also why maybe someone was listening to them, and I just missed that when they went through that phase, and they and I missed it that way. But you never know. Either way, we're here now, and you guys get to enjoy it on the channel instead of me already knowing them and not being able to cover them. So I'm excited for this journey on checking out more VOLA. And hopefully you guys are too. If you are, hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe to get notified when I drop new videos. And as always, you guys have a good one. And I'll catch you later.